Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Daytona. A great racing store here for you tonight. We're going to get into all of the racing details. But again, I want to introduce real quickly our co-chair here as second chair. That, of course, is Brett Rolls. Brett, another Daytona race. Seems like we've had a lot of super speedway racings this week.
Yeah, we've actually been doing a lot of super speedway racing, and lately we've been here at Daytona actually pretty frequently, whether it be the 2.5 mile super speedway or for the inaugural race of the Daytona road course for some leagues. A lot of time being spent down here in Florida, Cody. I happen to like your idea of destination choices for vacations.
I know, right? We definitely spend a lot of time here in sunny Florida. And of course, tonight we are here for the Pavement Marking 100, of course, presented by LSR TV. And, I thought it was the 150 earlier, I'm not going to lie, but they cut it down to 100 laps, so it won't be quite as long as a race. Of course, 100 laps still, though, as you see there, the race information again presented by Race on Texas, a lot of laps to go around this track. We always talk about the same thing when you come here. When is go time? When do you really start to make your move here? With about 24 drivers or so, you really need to team up with somebody, but when do you make that mark to go to the front?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of back racing. I wouldn't tend to see a lot of guys getting too anxious to move up spots until probably later to the second half of this race. Even though it is, shortened compared to what we're used to seeing in the real world here at Daytona, 100 laps still is a very, very, very long time at Daytona, especially in the draft when you get two, maybe even three cars wide, maybe like 7 or 8 rows deep. A lot of patience is involved with restrictor plate racing, and you're going to see that play out throughout the course of the first 50 laps. I think you're going to see a lot of drivers trying to, establish that racing connection with other drivers out here of, who you can really trust with the draft that'll stay with you and, work together as a tandem, and, who's just out there trying to get to the front and working for themselves. So it's going to be interesting to see if any unusual pairings happen throughout the course of this 100-lap race here tonight.
Yeah, we always talk about the storyline of a racetrack coming, or even a league, or whatever the series may be, coming to Daytona here for the PMI Truck Series. One of the biggest storylines we have to talk about, we can't sweep it under the rug as much as we want to. I know you haven't been too informed about it as I have, is there is going to be some rivalries here between Phantom Racing and Swag Racing. They are both racing here together. You don't want to sweep it under the rug. It's going to be something that we have to look forward to tonight. Hopefully it doesn't cause any issues. But when you have drivers that aren't on each other's Christmas list, per se, it makes for some really interesting racing, especially here at a plate track where they may be pushing you at some point.
Yeah, the drama that can unfold from pre-race tensions in the real world of NASCAR and even on dirt tracks, you're going to find that here in the sim world as well. We've seen a lot of team racing as far as the dirt side of things go. I'm not too familiar with the asphalt side of team racing. I know there's a lot of pro series teams out there and a lot of under series teams that have a lot of very good caliber drivers. So it's going to be pretty interesting. I think team racing is going to make things pretty exciting. But you also touched on the rivalries. We saw a lot of rivalry racing happen here with drivers just trying to get past that one driver that maybe races them just a little too much throughout the course of the regular season, or somebody that they may even be in contention with in a points battle. Keep your eye out for a lot of people to maybe do a little bit of bump drafting and a little bit of pushing down the back straightaway just to get that slight bit of advantage.
Yeah, people are definitely going to do anything they can to get an advantage as qualifying underway. Of course, the first driver out on the track is Nicholas Navarro and the number 82 machine, and quite a few drivers going to be coming out. Obviously, we can't cover every single one of them, but you, Brett, you know this track a little bit more than I do. Obviously, I don't get much time to get out on the track anymore. Where is the preferred line here for qualifying? For the first lap and the second lap, and are you really going to try to get the most out of that second one or the first one?
Usually for me with my qualifying strategy is I think you're going to see Navarro here on screen do exactly what I'm about to say. Usually with any single car qualifying at the restrictor plate races, I like to ride right up against the wall for the first lap and get as much momentum and speed as I possibly can, and then for the second lap I'll come down and I'll drop down just about here at the line and ride that low line and hug that yellow line all the way around the track. So for the first lap, expect a lot of these guys on screen to maybe stay up to the high side like Navarro is right now. He's running a little bit lower than I would as you see him come down to the line there through the middle of 1 and 2. He may be on his first lap, I do believe, so pretty interesting. I don't know if he's going to get quite the qualifying effort that's going to be worthy of the pole, just because that little bit of momentum built up from the high side to the bottom. But it's going to be pretty interesting as he continues to stay on the bottom here, so keep your eye on that 82 as he comes around to take his first lap.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder here, as you see right there, he's all the way in the bottom. He slides up back to the bottom. He's really not holding I would say steady line there, and it makes you wonder how much speed he's gonna scuff sliding up and down the track like that, not holding it to a straight line. Again, I got no room to talk. These guys are doing this at 180 miles an hour. It's definitely a tough job to do. So we'll just have to wait and see. But a 53.083 is going to be the fast time for him at the moment, and the fastest time in the session, but not for long. As there you see William Smith with a 52.178, quite a bit faster than Navarro.
And now you see Smith there in the 0-0 machine hugging that bottom lane, and he's not right up on the yellow. He's got maybe about a tire groove in between, but notice, compared to the real world, you don't see many drivers going up to that wall down the back straightaway. It doesn't really help you. It doesn't really hurt you as far as time goes, and at least in my perspective. But, just that little bit of extra less distance, if you will, to right around the bottom here at Daytona really does play a factor when it comes down to single car qualifying, rather than what you'll see here in probably about another 5 minutes or so when we get these guys all stacked and packed together into draft pack racing.
Yeah, and there you see a 52.173. Going to be a little bit faster. And someone who's not currently moving, he's going to shut it down, actually, that I wanted to talk out is there. He is coming back out on the track, is Garrett Maines. That Elliott Sadler Esports machine is fast no matter what he gets in. Dare I compare him to possibly Kyle Larson of Dirt? He is good here on iRacing. We'll see just how good he is in the trucks. This will be one of the first times we've seen him in it, and looks like right now he is not happy with that truck or something getting out on the track. And of course we do have the 10 coming out as well of Ken Byron. We'll see how he stacks up against the competition. But again, you have 2 laps. If you're not happy with it, Brett, that is the best thing to do, is shut it down before you get out there and start the lap number 1.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate to see Garrett having some troubles here in qualifying. I've had the pleasure of racing with him in a couple of events that have come up here in the past, whether it be that E300 that was at Martinsville in the super late models, or whether it's on the Monday Night Cup Series, which has now moved to Tuesday nights. In the NASCAR Cup Series, Garrett Maines, he is one tough competitor, like you said, no matter what he's in. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see if he's able to get the trucks dialed up like he has everything else that I've seen. So hopefully he's able to get whatever issues he's having during this qualifying effort figured out so he can go out and set a time. But I'm pretty sure, just like anything else, he may have the ability and the skill to come from the back and possibly put it in victory lane tonight.
Yeah, he's definitely got the skill to do it. We'll be watching him. 2 seconds left. That, of course, means 2 things. We're not going to see a lap for Ken go in, so Ken Byron is going to have to start relatively far back in the field. But not too terribly far back, because there were only half the field that took time. Brett, we're about to go into the grid here. Your pick here, if you had to choose qualify, don't qualify, what are you going to do?
Me personally, I would always qualify, even if you're not trying to be the front car in the pack, because it is never fun being the guy sitting duck. I'd at least still go out and put a qualifying effort down. A lot of guys, they like to hang out in the back just because of how crazy and chaotic the draft can get right off the get-go. You're going to see these cars pretty much nose to tail, bumper to bumper, 2-lane wide for probably a good lap or 2, unless everything gets settled out. But yeah, I probably myself, I would have went qualifying.
I think I would have gone qualifying as well, but of course qualifying is coming to an end. Well, is to an end now, which means just one thing. And that, of course, means that it's time to go through your grid here with about 24 drivers starting for tonight's race, actually right at 24. Your front row is, of course, none other than Peyton Howell and Billy Weeks, going to be starting up row number 1.
Row number 2 on the inside, starting P3 tonight, is that 0-0 of William Smith, and to his outside is going to be the 72 of Bladen Edwards.
In row 3, going to be the 04 of Matt Lee, and I believe 04X on the car. No, just 04 here tonight for the trucks, and his teammate to the outside of Brandon Gagnon in the number 83. Also, obviously, someone who does work with us here in the booth from time to time.
Row number 4 is going to consist of the 13 of Christopher Blanchard, and to his outside is going to be the 76 of Ron Morris Jr.
In row number 5, the only driver we have a headshot here for, as we've had it for a long time now, is going to be John Winkler. On his outside is going to be the 82 of Nicholas Navarro. Not sure the relation to the other Navarro, but we'll try to find that out here in just a little bit for you.
Row number 6 is going to be the hot shoe tonight, number 23, Garrett Maines. And to start outside of him, another hot shoe and number 1 machine of Jared Mogard. So row number 6 going to have 2 star studs coming from that row.
Yeah, and we'll have to look and see if Jared Mogart has that iconic paint on the top of his car with the checkered board. We'll see that in a little bit. As the 29 of Nicholas Sacco going to take row number 7, and Jason Maines, the father of Garrett Maines, in row 7.
Row number 8 is going to be the number 7 of Derek Fulton, and to his outside in that number 51 machine is going to be Ricky Howell Jr.
In row 9, it's going to be the 54 of Curtis Critchley and the 10 of Ken Byron.
Starting P19 is going to be the 55 machine. That's going to be Zachary Bazanich. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that for you. And starting outside him in P20 is going to be the 42 of Andrew Navarro.
Row 11 is going to be the 46 of Michael Adamson and the 68 of Ryan Kendall.
And rounding out 24 car field on the inside is going to be the 22 machine. That is going to be Kiernan Church, and to his outside, that's going to be the 81 of Taylor Peacock.
Of course, that'll do it for your starting grid. As always here, we're going to let these cars do the talking, and we'll be right back here as we kick a little asphalt here tonight. All right, no, there's nothing better than letting these cars do the sound, Brett, as we are back and we have your live timing up on the side of the screen there on the left. But 100 laps, plenty of time right now is Brandon Gagnon out front, Hayden Edwards right behind him, and Peyton Howell. Those 3 teammates right now, 1, 2, and 3 in this race.
Yeah, it's always good to be able to get linked up with your teammates really early on. The sooner the better when it comes to restrictor plate racing. That's going to be your core guys that you really turn to try to make a lot of headway when it comes to getting to the front and staying to the front. And especially being able to make any pit stops, being able to be by your teammate, you're almost guaranteed to, have a draft partner when you go down if you guys do decide to go the same pit strategy, for the most part of this race. As you see a bunch of trucks there getting a little wobbly coming into turns 1 and 2. It looks like everybody's trying to get situated out in the draft, as it looks like most of this field's starting to prefer the bottom lane. Not too many trucks going to the top side right now. As you can see, everybody starting to single file out, fan out a little bit, try to keep these trucks cool, not trying to get overheated. But the more they do that, the more it's going to keep this pack real close together. So some pretty interesting close-knit racing, as it looks like we're going to have a little bit of contact. Oh, we're going to have a couple of trucks going around and one going going up and over. We got a big one here early on.
None other than Garrett Maines, and Garrett Maines going for a ride here early in this race. So we'll, of course, take a swag replay here for the caution flag and see exactly what happened. But a wild ride there for the 23 of Garrett Maines, and obviously Peyton Howell involved in this. And I'm not sure, I believe that is the 82 involved. He gets a little sideways, good contact, and just barrel rolling it. You know, you do not want to see that if it was real life, and I guarantee you Garrett Maines don't want to see that here in the sim either, because that was a violent ride.
Yeah, it looked like Garrett Maines had a really big head of steam coming through turns 3 and 4, and things just got a little choppy. They got a little 3-wide racing going on, and it looks like they just ran out of real estate there going through the corner. And pretty significant damage to a couple of these trucks. Looks like it may be involved maybe like 5 or 6 trucks out there on the racetrack. So almost about a sixth of this field, a fifth of the field caught up in that one, Cody.
Yeah, there you go. You got the 82 of Nicholas Navarro involved in it for sure. Looks like William Smith and the 00 involved in it. Of course, Peyton Howell and Garrett Maines, we know, were involved in it. A violent ride. The question is here, we are 4 laps into this race. I don't think anybody's going to come down. I think we may have some people playing chicken there, but no, not even going to do that. They are not even going to remotely attempt to come down. It's only 4 laps in, and, you know, tires really aren't a big factor. It's really a fuel game here anyway. So I wouldn't expect anyone to come down, but I really thought some people may, you know, try to play some games.
Yeah, a lot of your normal racetracks when it comes to the NASCAR circuit, you're going to see a lot of guys coming down trying to keep their tires fresh. Tracks like Daytona, Talladega, Pocono, not really so much as Pocono, but more so Talladega and Daytona, really does not have much tire wear. You know, you can get by a 100-lap race with maybe taking 4 tires at lap 50, if not maybe even, you know, skipping out and not taking any tires at all. You know, you can play a lot of different tire strategies here, but, you know, like you said, Cody, you know, this is mostly a fuel strategy race here. You know, whoever can stretch enough fuel over 100 laps with as limited pit stops as possible. You know, that's why you see a lot more guys trying to, you know, go for the lead, not, you know, try to let guys by a little bit. You know, the guy that's at the front of the pack, you know, he's using up the most fuel. He's got all that wind and all that air, you know, sitting right on his front bumper compared to the guy behind him who's able to get off the throttle a little bit and pretty much just tuck in line.
Yeah, you definitely, you know, it's one of those things, you know, we always talk about, you know, you want to be leading, but do you really want to be leading right now? I say no. I don't really want to be leading right now. Now, if this was the end of the race, yes, but I really think your best bet is to lead the, you know, maybe not the fewest amount of laps, but the laps towards the end of the race. You know, those last 2 or 3 laps, because it doesn't matter how many you lead. It just matters which one you lead, you know, and we've said that for many years now, and, you know, whether it's sim, real, whatever it is, it doesn't matter how many you lead, it just matters which one you lead.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Cody. You know, they only pay for the last lap, not the first one or any of them in between. But it's going to be kind of interesting. You know, my strategy, you know, at Daytona and Talladega may differ from people. But I like to kind of hang out towards the middle to the back of the pack, you know, really sit in that draft, let the wind and air, you know, move around my car for me, or my truck for that rather. You know, just pretty much sit back and fuel conserve as much as humanly possible, especially here. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe towards the later end of this race, maybe some guys possibly under caution running down underneath that yellow line on the flat part of Daytona around here, trying to save just a little bit more fuel. But the lights are out on the iRacing pace car, so we're getting them restacked and repacked. We're going to be going green this time by out of turn number 4.
Yeah, definitely. It's setting up itself to be a good season here. And again, we got 24 drivers that have paid in. So that'll put it at the 20 mark for payouts for this race. And, you know, a lot of people may not know what the payout here. I believe, and don't quote me, I made the pay-up setup and I still can't remember it, but 20 cars, I believe that's going to put it somewhere in the $100 to $125 range to win. So you have $125 or 125 reasons to not have a good teammate at the end. Well, not be a good teammate at the end. You want to win. You don't want to push them to the win.
Yeah, I usually say everything's hunky-dory teammate work until that white silk's in the air. Once the white silk's in the air, you're no longer my teammate. You're that competitor in front of me, because checkers are checkers, buddy. And at the end of the day, everybody's hunting that checkered pattern flag, as we are back under green flag racing here, and we are going to roll through turns 1 and 2. It looks like the front of the pack got a little bit of a gap there on the outside lane, as we're all going to get tightened right back up, as we got a couple of trucks going down to the inside of that yellow line down the back stretch. So it looks like things might be getting a little slicing and dicing. Things may get a little more chaotic here within another lap or so, as drivers are looking to advance their positions.
Yeah, and of course, we didn't mention it in the pre-show there, but they are running stages here. So there'll be a stage caution at the completion of lap 25 and lap 50. Then we run the last 50 all the way out to the end. So that does play a factor into it, because there are points on the line for those stage wins. So, do you try to get both stage wins and the final win, or do you settle for maybe one stage win and then going for the overall win? It really depends on what you're going for here, because there is a weekly payout that you're going for, but there's also, I believe, again, don't go anywhere, I think it's $300 to $500 that's on the line, and it could grow more for the overall championship as well. So these guys are not only fighting for a points championship and money, they're fighting for weekly money as well. So there's a lot on the line here, as right now it is Bladen Edwards and Matt Lee and Brandon Gagnon, three teammates still up front. Peyton Howe obviously not up there at the moment. He is back one lap down in 21st, but he's still got 3 other teammates up at the front.
Yeah, and don't count out Garrett Maines. Just because he's a lap down, he could be getting some damage worked on. If you do happen to catch the caution flags here at Daytona with some accidents and whatnot, you can make up some lap time here, as it looks like everybody's looking to just single file out here for the most part towards the front of the field and possibly tick off some laps. You're not going to see any side-by-side battling until you get back to about maybe the 8th and 9th position. So this field looking to possibly get all strung out single file and tick off some laps here, maybe even get a little spaced out here towards the end of this first 25 segment.
Yeah, and there you see right there, that is the 2. That is a Maines, but that is Jason Maines that is up there. That is, of course, the father of Garrett Maines in that area, Elliott Sadler Esports Machine, and he has taken it all the way almost to the wall, scraping it just a little bit, I think. But we'll see, and that's the thing we haven't really talked about, is when do you take it 3 wide here in this race, and is it really going to benefit you too much? Right now, I don't think 3 wide is really a good call. We'll see if and when they finally do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see too much 3 wide action until later on in this race. As you can see, most of these guys not really looking to get to double file wide racing right now. But, like you pointed out, with those stages being at lap 25 and lap 50, a lot of drivers may be trying to pick up some positions towards these first 2 25 lap segments to possibly set them up for that last 50 lap segment. And I don't know if you have any knowledge of whether these guys are on lower fuel loads or anything like that, but one thing that I noticed is in the Pro Series with the NASCAR Cup cars, they were able to make 50 laps with the draft, actually a little bit further. I know the trucks run a different size fuel cell, but it's going to be interesting to see just how pit strategies play out throughout the course of those 2 segments, and see if maybe somebody can try to get the most for their money through that 50 lap final.
Yeah, the fuel is at 100% here for the race, so if they can do 50 laps on a tank of fuel, that will beg the question, on that stage caution at lap 25, do you come down or do you go out and lead some laps here and try to collect if there's any bonus points on the line for leading a lap, leading the most laps, or setting yourself up in a good position to possibly go into the second stage? There's a lot of questions and a lot of strategies that are going to be out in hand for these drivers tonight. So again, a lot of questions, not many answers for us, Brett.
Yeah, I think you're going to see everybody come down at the lap 25 segment, as well as the lap 50, just to be able to start and not have to worry about fuel. I'm not exactly too sure what the fuel load for a full tank is here for his lap count. I'm pretty sure that these guys should be able to make those 25 laps with a fuel load, but I'm not sure if they're able to make two 50 lap or 225 lap segments with the same fuel load. So I'd be interested to see, maybe somebody come down at lap 25 and then maybe avoid the 50 lap race break and try to come down around lap 60 or so and try to stretch fuel a little bit to make it to the end.
Yeah, definitely. I do think they probably should come down to see, again, tires not going to be too bad, but I would expect you to take some, especially after 50 if you don't take any at lap 25. But some of these guys have already been down. Taylor Peacock, has been down. Looks like Derek Fulton has been down as well in the 7 machine. They do have stops that they took during that first caution. A lot of people in the back took tires and fuel, but again, the front 5 right now have not been down at all here in this race, and we are closing in on that first stage caution here very soon, as we're already on lap 14 of 25 for the stage, and of course 100 here in tonight's race. Again, good racing so far. We've only had that one caution. It was quite I won't say big one, but it was medium size with Garrett Maines going for a ride. But look who is sitting there. Garrett Maines, a lap down, but trying to go for the lead, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, Garrett Maines, even with him being a lap down, if he's able to get in front of some of these trucks and get his nose in front of the leader, that will put him technically at the tail of this field. So keep an eye on Garrett Maines as he's trying to work his way through this front little pack and get to the front and possibly get his lap back before that lap 25 stage. It's going to be interesting as we're too wide here. I'm not real sure if he's going to be able to get many positions sitting where he's at. Looks like he's the 4th car in line on the outside. So Garrett Main's going to have a lot of work on his hands if he's going to try to make it to the next or to the caution break at 25 and be able to get his lap back, because it looks like everybody's pretty much even strength between the top groove and the bottom groove. Not too much advantage for either line.
Yeah, and you got to think about it like this, this is the random things that come through my mind anyway. If you are the 04 of Matt Lee, Brandon Gagnon, Derek Fulton, these guys up there, Bladen Edwards that are in the top 4, top 5 right now, you are saying, keep this 23 behind me. Do not let him get his lap back. If you are the 11 of Peyton Howell, who is in 21st right now, a lap down, you're saying, get up there, go do something, get your lap back, because when that stage caution comes out, if the 23 of Maines is on the lead lap like he is right now, that would put the 11 of Peyton Howell as a lucky dog to get that free pass back.
Yeah, and with him having 3 teammates towards the front, they're going to try to do everything they can to help their teammate get his lap back and have a 4-car possibly leading this 4-car team leading this race instead of just 3. So it's going to be interesting to see if maybe the teammates of him try to do a little bit of shake and bake maneuvering as you see that outside groove getting a little stronger. Not sure if the inside groove is giving up a little bit of ground here to possibly help Maines get a little closer to the front and maybe get somebody clear. But it looks like everybody's pretty much nose to tail as we get out of turn 2 and come down the back straightaway. As you see, maybe, I'm not sure who that is back there in the outside group. I think that might be Navarro looking to possibly go to the outside and make it a 3-wide exchange. As we come to 3 and 4, it's still going to be Lee out front, as he's been pretty much able to keep that outside lane at bay. He's pretty much been in control of this race from the get-go, Cody.
Yeah, he has. It's been Lee and Gagnon. Gagnon's obviously fallen back to 3rd. Here comes Derek Fulton, though. He's going to push the 23 again. He can push that 23 to the front. It doesn't affect him at all. But, of course, now you see Garrett Maines is back on the lead lap. I mean, he's about as far to the tail end of the lead lap as you can get as leaders pushing him. But he is back on the lead lap, and he left that outside lane kind of hanging dry right now as he got what he needed. He needed to get back on the lead lap. That's exactly what he did. But now it looks like Matt Lee's going to jump up on the outside lane where the momentum seems to be building.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see is Matt Lee get the run off the top side, and then he's going to do exactly what Garrett Maines did and drop right back down in front of him, because no matter what, if Garrett Maines is the first lap car on the lead lap when we come to that 25-lap stage break, he will get his lap back. So don't be surprised if you see the 04 of Lee maybe get a little bit clear of the 23 of Maines and come right back down in front of him and keep that 23 tucked up on his back bumper so he can get his lap back.
Yeah, and you know, something I didn't think we would be seeing just yet, and that, of course, is going to be the 00 of William Smith, who was involved in that caution earlier. He is just ahead of these guys. There he is going into turn 3 and 4. Here's your leaders. They're going to have to try to maneuver around a lap car very quickly, so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully all goes well, as it looks like he is going to take it all the way to the bottom of this racetrack, so they should be able to squeeze around him, but no, he is staying right in the racing surface for him.
Oh, and you see the 23 of Maines comes up right in front of the bumper of the 04 Lee, your race leader. So Maines throwing the dice out there a little bit with a little bit of a risky maneuver to get around that lap car. Not too sure if Lee's going to be too happy with that, as now it's given the lead back to Gagnon in that 83 machine. As we come down the back straightaway, we're only within a handful of laps as we've got some contact. Now be mindful here, if we get a caution, and we do, caution is out. Now the 23 of Garrett Maines is going to be on the lead lap once again. So it's going to be interesting to see if anybody comes down during this caution flag break here, or if they wait until the stage break, Cody.
Yeah, well, it'll be very interesting to see. We'll find that out right after the swag replay here. And this does involve the 00 of William Smith, the lap car. And not sure if he got hit or if somebody hit him, as there you see them all going around. That is Navarro involved in that as well. We'll take one more look here, see if we can get a better view here. And you see the 00 William Smith right here. He's going down, and watch for the 82. He's coming up at the back of this viewing there, and I'm not sure. We're about to find out exactly what happened. And he gets below the apron, and I'm not sure if the 2 came up there a little bit, or if the 82 kind of was weaving a little bit as well, not holding that line real smooth, and got into the 0 as well.
Just from my experience with the restrictor plate racing here, Cody, you know, airflow does play a really big factor on these vehicles when you're going at such high speeds in a draft pack. You know, a lot of shaking the steering wheel, if you will. It just looks to me like he came up real quick on the 00, and he just got up on him, and the air kind of got the car or the truck a little bit loose, and they just weren't able to make any corrections. I don't really think it was either one of their drivers' faults, as it looked more so to me like it was just a little bit of air got up underneath the back end of that truck and was able to get it loosened up just enough to cause a little bit of chaos.
Yeah, chaos indeed, as we're on lap 22 excuse me, of 100, and we'll have to confer with the race control here, but I do believe this may put us within that window, because obviously if we have a caution within the window of the stage and it's going to go to the stage break or stage caution, we would not go to another one. So we'll have to wait and see. That, of course, they will not go with a one-lap shootout. I've been around racing enough to know that is a bad idea. They opted to not do that. So if there's less than a lap to go when we get the green, or if it'll be a one-lap shootout, then this, of course, would have been the stage caution. Again, we'll try to get that information from race control if we can. But definitely, if you're leading right now, and this is considered the stage caution, if you're Brandon Gagnon right now, that's a good thing for you.
Yeah, it's always good to get the stage win. I'm not sure if you said they were doing points and money for stage wins as well, but if so, it's always interesting as far as a competitor's perspective. How close you can be to that glory spot when these stage cautions do come. It does give you a little bit of advantage, but my thing here, Cody, is with the draft being such a high factor at these super speedway races and just how much he has been up front. Do you think that maybe this might affect maybe a fuel strategy run for him if he's up there trying to get stage wins for lap 25 and lap 50?
Yeah, it definitely is going to play a huge factor in what these guys do, what their strategy is, and it never fails, Brett. When you're doing one of these races here, you get close, you have a strategy, and then something comes along and just says, nah, that strategy's not going to work. We're going to go with something different, and it throws a wrinkle in your strategy and throws it all off. That's what's happened here, possibly, and it definitely is not a fun scenario when it happens, when you've been planning all race for something and then it just gets thrown out the window.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this league here does any fast repairs or not.
One fast repair.
One fast repair. So that is a saving grace, especially for some of the trucks that got caught up in that early race caution, or maybe even just that last caution here that put us under the yellow now. You're able to go in, get a fresh car, because one thing you definitely do not want to have when it comes to Daytona is some aero damage. Aero damage could be the make or break of your race. Especially with being the draft, you want your car to be as slick and clean as humanly possible. You don't want any damaged or wrinkled sheet metal, because all that does is create air pockets, and all that does is act like a parachute and slow you down here.
Yeah, and we are getting word, unconfirmed anyway, that they believe they're not going to count that. So as a stage caution, that would send us into a one-lap shootout, as we're going to get the green here on lap 24, which would send us into chaos, possibly. We'll see. It may or may not be chaos on the track. You have one lap to go. All bets are off if you're trying to get those bonus points. No money on the line for the stage, but we are going to get the green, and there are points on the line here for the stage win, as Brandon Gagnon takes him to the green flag. Matt Lee behind him, followed by Edwards, Navarro, now Fulton and Navarro into your top five. What do you do if you need to get to the front now in a hurry?
I don't really think you're going to see many guys going to, push for a lot of positions here on this one lap shootout. I think this is pretty much going to be just a pack push, and it's going to come down between Gagnon and Hill here on the front row. Interesting to point out is that restart did not help Brandon Gagnon, and that's one thing that is pretty interesting about Daytona. You do not want to get a good jump on the field like you would at a normal track. As you see, he was able to space out to about 2 car lengths there, but look how close that got real quick as the pack was able to catch up on him, as now we got one going down to the infield. As we come through the tri-oval, this should be the stage, as we're going to have cars going everywhere. We got chaos coming to the line, Cody.
We do indeed, and we'll see. So far, no caution coming out. Looks like possibly that caution earlier was the stage. That means these guys back here wrecking right now are not going to get a caution, and there the caution is, so we'll assume that was for the stage. But we also had some calamity going on back here, and it looks possibly like around the 7 of Derek Fulton going to be involved, so we'll quickly take a look at this here at the swag replay and see what happened. But again, just chaos ensuing here coming to the line.
Yeah, as you can see, they're going to go 3 wide here for the 2nd through 5th position. Actually, 2nd through 7th position. 3 wide doesn't really pan out, especially if you don't have any draft. And there you see just some slight contact between that middle car. Not sure if I can get a number on that blue
Looks
car,
like
but
the 76.
It looks like he just came down and caught the front bumper of the car that was inside of him, and then he pushed up a little bit and caught the left quarter panel of the truck that was outside of him. So wonder if, maybe that was a little bit more of that air pocket issue that I had mentioned on the previous caution. But, it looks like he was having a little bit of a struggle there, keeping that truck up underneath him there coming to the line.
Yeah, and that may be unfortunate for the 7 of Fulton. Is I believe he used his fast repair earlier. So we'll have to wait and see. Right now, there are 2 drivers out. Again, there was a caution for a wreck and or stage caution there as well. So we are under caution. So, of course, we'll step aside real quick and we'll see if anybody pits. And when they do, if they do, we'll come back and talk about it. But we'll step away here real quick for a quick commercial break. And we'll come back here with some more racing from Daytona.
There's a lot of esports leagues in iRacing, but there's nothing like swag. Special events, series sanctioning. The Simulation World Auto Group, SWAG, is excited for you to become a member and join our team. Weekly competition includes Stadium Super Trucks, the Outlaw Super Late Model Series, the Short Track Cup All-Star Challenge, the Winter Heat during the winter months, and so much more. Special events and venues is also throughout the year. We want you to be a part of the team. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by looking up Swag Esports Racing and jump on board with the Shark. Big money, fun times. We want you to be a part of what is the new Simulation World Auto Group. All the details again on Swag Racing Esports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you at the virtual tracks across the world. And if not, follow broadcast coverage on LSR TV, The Weekly Racer, and CRN Sports.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, here. Of course, an exciting race so far. We have passed the stage caution number 1 as we're on lap 28. Brett, it's been a pretty good race so far. We have a couple of cars out of the race. John Winkler out of the race. Ricky Al Jr. getting a big scratch on the race. He did not start here tonight, 27 laps down. But right now, it is up to Matt Lee and Andrew Navarro to get this thing going one more time. We have, about 22 laps or so, 23 laps till we get to the next stage caution, and we do it. The question is, it's not when, or if, it's when the big one will happen. Who do you think is going to be involved? You think we're going to see a big chunk of this field involved in the big one tonight?
Yeah, I think I think we're going to see an unusual big one, if you will, tonight, Cody. I don't think the big one's going to happen towards the middle of the pack. I think once all the fast guys get towards the front here and they try to establish the dominance of Daytona, I think you're going to see a little bit of chaos unfold from that, from cars trying to get in where they fit in and try to get a little bit of an advantage on that faster guy in front of them. As we are back green flag racing here at Daytona, as it looks like the front four cars are going to get a pretty good jump over the rest of the field here, as it looks like the top 6 cars are all going to be single file, as it looks like we're going to now start to break off into 2-lane racing again from the single file. So some guys looking to advance their positions right out the gate from the stage race. It looks pretty strong on that outside run, as that 2 car is he's got a pretty good, strong run to him there. Jason Maines, that is Garrett Maines' father. As you see him in the 23, almost identical paint skins, as they look very, very similar out there on the racetrack. As you see the 2-car Maines on the outside of the front row up front, he's in second to third right now, battling side by side. But here comes his son Garrett throwing the throwing the truck 3 wide. He's going to get to Dad's back bumper, as the Maines family looking to try to get to the front and maybe 1-2 this race, Cody.
Yeah, they're getting those baby blue Elliott Sadler Esports machines up to the front. And again, both of them on the lead lap by now. He did get his lap back, and I do believe Peyton Howell did too. He's mired back midfield in a 13th place number 11 machine. Supporting breast cancer awareness on it, but he's got his work cut out for him. As again, like we mentioned earlier, right now Matt Lee and Bladen Edwards out front, those two have been very dominant. But then again, you can't really say that they're going to win this race, because it is up in the air. This is kind of like, winning Daytona or Talladega to me is like, throwing a needle in a haystack and trying to find it. You could be the first person to find it, but then again, you could not find it at all.
Yeah, anything can happen here at Daytona. Is just a slight error from one driver can cause complete controversy from the front to the back of the pack. As you see, this track, as big as it is, it's really not all that wide for 3-wide racing. You can't really fit 3 cars or 3 trucks wide here at Daytona comfortably, for that matter, for too long. I mean, you can do it, but it does get a little sketchy at times. As it looks like Maines is going to drop down. He's going to leave his son hanging. He's going to take the point there in that number 2 machine. And I was going to point out there, Cody, is it looked like, even though they drive for Elliott Sadler, it looks like the Maines family looking to do their impersonation of the Allisons here at Daytona tonight.
Yeah, definitely are. And, you always wonder going into a race, especially when you see teammates like that, what are the pecking orders here? Obviously, we know Garrett Maines wants to go pro. He wants to race in real life. So, are there pecking orders? Is his dad really out here to help him get the win, to boost his career? Because this is a pretty stacked field of drivers. It's not the, top of the line series. It's not like the pros, but then again, some of these guys are working their way through the road to pro and on their way there, so it's just as good a competition as if you were in the pros.
Yeah, there's definitely some competition going on, and it's pretty interesting, Cody. You pointed out that he's here helping boost his son's iRacing career, and you gotta wonder, even though it is father-son, do they still have that father-son rivalry of all right, even though I'm your dad, I'm still gonna show you the ropes, kid. And it almost is kind of identical to that drive that you saw in real life with Dale Sr. and Dale Jr. Just that drive to really go out there and race with Dad, and give Dad everything you got, and be able to someday be able to drop on his side quarter panel and be able to get him at the line. As it looks like Garrett Maines trying to do everything he can to push that 04 of Lee to the front on that outside. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see if we possibly get a father-son battle here going on towards the later portion of this race here between Garrett Maines back there in that number 23 machine currently running 4th, and his father in that number 2, the number 2 of Jason Maines currently running 2nd.
Yeah, definitely. And if you ever want to see what that's father-son relationship look like, go get the movie 3. It's an older movie now. Literally, the movie is called 3, just the number 3, about Dale Earnhardt's life. And you see that relationship between Dale Sr. and Dale Jr. Good movie to watch. But these guys are up front. They're still struggling. They got their hands full with Matt Lee right now. Matt Lee not giving them any breaks. Edwards has fallen back a little bit to 4th place, as you do have Andrew Navarro in that 42 machine up to 5th. And we talked about Ken Byron a little bit earlier, who was struggling. He didn't get a qualifying lap in. He's sitting right now in 6th place, just outside the top 5.
Yeah, and that just goes to show you, how you can go from the outhouse to the penthouse and vice versa here, at Daytona very quick. As you see drivers that, show dominance in a lot of other leagues that they are in. For example, the number 1 car of Jared Mogard, he's currently running position 20th on the racetrack and a lap down. Jared Mogard, he is one heck of a competitor. As you pointed out earlier, that checkered pattern roof, as it looks like he's got that on the truck tonight, Cody. He's actually your current points leader for the Tuesday Night World of Thunder Cup Series. Me and him actually were battling it out for the points lead. He's one heck of a competitor and very, very fast. And to see him back in position 20 and a lap down, I'm not sure if he got caught up in some chaos in that first caution there. But that just goes to show you the level of competitors that we have in this field, Cody. A good competitor like Jared Mogard that's really fast in the NASCAR Cup Series as far as iRacing goes with the World of Thunder Cup cars. To see him struggling towards the back of this pack, and then you see up towards the front guys like the Mains and Gagnon and Lee. We got some pretty top-notch drivers here in this series, and throughout the rest of the season, it's going to be pretty interesting to see out of this field of star drivers, who's able to, put pure dominance to this league. Is, anytime I race with the Mains, it's usually common to see them towards the front and pretty much dominating anything, as well as, Jared Mogard on asphalt as well. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see, out of all these stars, this is pretty much like a, not so to speak the Pro Series, but this is pretty much, the future Pro Series, if you will, as far as competitors go.
Yeah, and I know if some fans out there that are watching may not know what we're talking about when we talk about this, but you talk about I-rating. I-rating and safety rating, I don't put too much stock into it. However, if you look at I-rating, that means these guys are having clean races, they're finishing good in races, and they're working their way through. You look at just the top 5 right now. We'll go through their I-rating: 4,700, 7,800 for Garrett Maines, 4,000, 2,500, 2,500, and 5,000 for 6th place. These guys have some serious I-rating, and I'm talking rivaling some of the guys in the what I call the peak is now the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series. So, these guys are no joke, and they're showing it right now. Is what we've been since lap 28 to 38, around 10 to 12 laps or so, and that we have gone caution free. We've had 2 cautions. One was for the stage, and one was for a wreck here in this race. So 2 cautions in 38 laps, make it 39 here in just a second. That's not bad at all for a plate race. Usually they turn into a caution fest.
Yeah, it's very common to see a lot of wrecks, a lot of impatient tendencies when it comes to restrictor plate racing, because, a lot of guys like to try to jump the gun when it comes to the draft and pull out and, try to get a run on the car in front of them rather than just lift a little bit and ride out and get the laps to, tick off and still be able to get some positions. As I talk about that, the prime example of that is Garrett Maines in this race here. He got caught up in that first caution that we had within the first 5 laps of this race. He was a lap down all the way at the bottom of the ticker, and now he is currently running P2 as he looks to the outside of the 04 Elite right now, as you're going to ride on board with Garrett Maines in the 23 as he's looking to go to the point, as the lead truck that by is going to be Maines. So put Garrett Maines to the top spot, as now he's going to drop down right in front. So you see he's got that clean air, and now he's going to put that 04 of Lee in between him and his dad. So it looks like Garrett Maines trying to get a little bit of distance on old Pop as we get within 10 laps here this time by of that second stage.
At going to be 10 to go to the stage this time by. Again, we talked about ramping it up when you got to the end of the race, but we really didn't see too much of these guys really ramping it up for the stage win. So it makes you wonder if these guys are more concerned with bringing home the final win and pocketing that change, or if they're more concerned about the points themselves going for the overall championship. Again, there are 24 drivers in this race, a couple of them out right now, but that is 24 different strategies, 24 different mindsets as to what they're going for. And to put all of them on the track and then say, go for it, it's amazing that we haven't seen more cautions and that this stuff is playing out as cleanly as it is here tonight.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see with this caliber of field and, just how much class we have as far as talent goes in here, a lot of these guys are the bigger picture type mindset drivers. As you saw within that first stage break with a one-lap shootout, not too many people trying to jump out of line. It was just, all right, we'll let the front row settle it for who gets their points. And, we're just going to do our best to try to push them there. I think you're going to see maybe a little bit different strategy paying off here as we currently are under green flag racing going into the stage, as it will be here within the next 8 to 9 laps here. So it's going to be pretty interesting. It looks like everybody's pretty much settled to that bottom groove for this front pack here. Only 2 trucks working on the outside lane. I don't know if they're going to have enough headway to get to the front, especially if they get to side drafting here. The space that they've got in between them and that inside lane is what's keeping them going on that outside. But if you see that 2 car of Mains come up and try to side draft a little bit, that may be the downfall to this 2 car tandem. But as I say that, they get a good run coming through the tri-oval as the third place car of Edwards. He's going to be able to almost pull up to the side of that 04 of Lee as he's to the back bumper. So that outside row making a little bit of headway, and I think the reason being is that little bit of a gap you see there on the inside lane between Mains and the 04 of Lee is now you see Mains is going to make a move as he's going to go up to the top side. So Mains trying to roll the dice and possibly duke it out with his son towards the end of the stage race.
Yeah, and I was just wondering that. I honestly figured the 04 Matt Lee would sneak up to the top side and jump up there with his 2 teammates of Gagnon and Edwards. That didn't happen, and they've kind of slid back now here, but I would have expected to see that 04 jump up there and make something happen, but he just didn't do it. And we've been talking about these guys here as we are now 44 through or 43 laps in on lap 44. There's a whole nother group back here that we really haven't talked about, including Peyton Howe, Ken Byron, Taylor Peacock, Billy Weeks, Ron Morris Jr., Ryan Kendall. These guys are running in this second group. They're probably doing this. My best guess would be to try to stay a little clean, not get in too much trouble early on in this race that they're thinking is going to happen here at the front.
Yeah, I think all those guys in the back, they're just, they're pretty content with just riding where they're at, maybe, battling it out between themselves for positions. But I think they're mostly just trying to keep their nose clean at this point of any chaos that may ensue from this front battle. As you see, the Mains father-son duo going to have to think thin a little bit as they bring the pack around another lap car through this course of 1 and 2. Things are going to get a little bit tight as you see the lap car go down to the apron for a little bit, try to help out some of these drivers with some navigation around him. So as you get coming out of turn 2, it may just be a little bit tighter for the Mains family up front as you see them currently running 1 and 2. Garrett on the inside, and that is the 2 machine, his father Jason Mains on the outside, as he's going to lose a little bit of steam coming into 3 and 4 as Lee was able to get the position second back. But now look at the momentum that the outside lane has formed here. So this track is pretty much evened up, Cody, as we come by to take 5 to go until the stage break.
Yeah, just 5 laps to go here in the pavement marking 100. Again, 100 laps around this monster of a track, 2.5 miles. Technically, our scoring over here says 2.48 miles. We're running 248 miles. But again, this is a laser scan track, so I would venture to guess that's pretty accurate. But what a race. Again, we can't help but say what a great race it is, but that outside lane really is making some moves right now. They only have 3 cars versus, what, about 12 or so down on the bottom, maybe 10. But it looks like Garrett Maines, he doesn't know which line he wants to be in right now. And I think his indecisiveness just got him stuck in the sucker hole, and he's going to go sliding to the back.
Yeah, as it looks like he was possibly thinking about coming up to that high lane and getting the push from his dad, but it looked like he may have hesitated just a little bit too long, because as soon as he moved up that 04 of Lee, he just bonsaied to the bottom and took advantage of the situation. And if you notice, Cody, that little bit of a hiccup, it caused the outside lane to fall back just a little bit, but now they're starting to make some headway with this Maines duo with the powerhouse tag team on the outside. So it's going to be interesting to see if maybe the father-son starting to try to work together versus teammates to try to, benefit these two in the points a little bit more, as it's going to be a good run for that outside lane, as it looks like the Maines family may have even had a good run enough to take the lead that time by, as he is count Jason Maines to the lead. So that little bit of a hiccup from Garrett may have actually been calculated, as it looks like they were able to pick up the lead, and now Jason Maines almost completely clear of that 04 Lee, and it's going to be interesting to see if he goes to the bottom. And we got huge contact right in front, and this is what we pointed out, Cody. This may have been what that backpack was trying to avoid.
Yes, and there is the caution. And this one is, we're coming to lap 49. They would almost have to count this as a stage caution. We are, of course, going to go back and take a look and see what happened here. Of course, with the swag replay and see what happened. Was this a family thing? No, the 2 comes down just a little bit, not quite clear of the 04, and chaos ensues from there.
Came down a little bit, possibly to get lead, just to check up that momentum just a little bit, to possibly hold on to that run that the outside was having, maybe even get Garrett clear of him, possibly at a later corner. Just looks like he got a little too caught up, as you're going to ride on board with the 04 Lee. You see Jason Maines in the 2 car. He comes down just a little bit, but it doesn't look like Lee really waited too much, as it looks like he just gave him a little bit of a back bump, and it looks like Garrett and Lee were able to pretty much hit Jason square at the same time, which is what caused that hiccup. But just a little bit too much as the yellow flag came out.
Yeah, and this is one track, keep in mind, if you've never been around the real thing, which probably majority of us haven't, if you've never been around the sim one as well, you have to pick the less of 2 evils here when you come to Daytona, Talladega. You're doing 180 to 190 miles an hour around this track. You have to make split-second decisions. Lifting, in my opinion, is not the thing to do. And unfortunately, he probably could have maybe just tapped the brakes just for a minute or let off. But if he does that, then somebody behind him that may not react as quickly, they're going to hit him either way, and then you're going to pile up even more cars. So, it does kind of stink for the 2 of Jason Maines, but you have to make those split-second decisions, and, he's there, he's gone. It's that quick.
Now, the interesting thing to keep in mind, Cody, is Garrett Maines got caught up in that first caution on lap 3 or 4. Did he have to use his fast repair for that, or is the damage pretty bad from this wreck here with his dad? I'm not sure just how much he got into him as far as that damage went on the replay, but it's going to be pretty interesting to see if that may have just cost Garrett Maines the win.
I believe it may have cost him something. We'll see if it officially cost him the win here in a little bit. But we are at the lap 50 mark, so of course that will be the stage caution. And Garrett Maines going to be sitting on pit road along with Jason Maines as well. So while we have the caution break, we'll step aside here real quick. And of course, thank the sponsors for making all of this happen. Of course, you're tuning in here for the PMI Truck Series. This is the pavement marking 100 here at Daytona. We'll be right back here in just a moment.
I want to show you what we can do. It's like a newborn puppy. Like, I want to show you how cute we are. Come see us. Come see what we can do. You'll be amazed. My name is Kim Connolly-Wilner. I worked for Studio for almost 4 years. I project engineer, creative direction, graphic designer. Outside of Studio, I like to paint, knit, crochet. My favorite thing about working for Studio is the ability to be around like-minded people, and the work is cool. When I was first told about Studio, it was the wood shop, the metal shop, and how they can take nothing and build it. That's what I've been around my whole life, so to have the opportunity to actually work here is pretty amazing. When I came onto Studio, Tom was sort of this unicorn. So you'd hear his voice, you'd catch a glimpse of him, you just naturally wanted to be around him. This big smile. I loved to go into his office and kind of poke at him, see what he was working on, have him talk to me about past projects. I wanted to learn what he knew. This is his legacy, everything. You feel him every day. When you sit down and you're starting a new project, it really is something in the back of your mind, like, would Tom like this? Would he think this is cool? You know, he was kind of a mentor to a lot of people, so you don't want to disappoint even though he's not around us anymore.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, here at Daytona for the PMI Truck Series. This is the pavement marking 100 laps around this monster. Well, hopefully not mayhem. We'll leave that for the little track, but that's the mile of mayhem. This is the monster of mayhem if it gets too many cars. Brett, been a good race so far as we see Andrew Navarro up front, Mike Adamson, Curtis Critchley, Matt Lee, and Taylor Peacock, your top five right now. A little bit of change up in the top five after that last caution.
Yeah, as it looked like the Maines family gonna be the worst recipients of that, as we're getting ready to go back green flag race, and the 23 of Garrett Maines is gonna fall all the way back to the 14th position. He's gonna be the last car on the lead lap, and as you can see, the 2 car of Jason Maines is not on the speedway. He is currently still on pit road. I think he may have even taken that truck back behind the wall, Cody.
I believe right now he is still sitting in the pits, but yeah, definitely he's been in there for 4.5 minutes already. Lucky for him, iRacing doesn't have the 5-minute rule like they do in the real NASCAR world, where for more than 5 minutes and they say you're junk, just throw it in the trailer. It's pieces at this point. We don't have that rule here, thank goodness, but we'll see if he makes it back out. My guess is probably not.
Yeah, the interesting thing is going to be, you know, just how damaged is that 23 of Garrett Maines. We saw him come through the field once, but from a lap down, as you see him right now, he doesn't have any real top-end speed or draft, so it looks like the 23 of Garrett Maines has some serious motor damages. I think he may have already used his fast repair back on that first wreck on lap 3 or 4, so keep an eye on Garrett Maines as when this field comes back by, if he's able to possibly stay up towards the front of that draft and not fall too far behind and get that lap back, that they will eventually come back around and get to him. But the interesting thing to keep an eye on now, Cody, is we don't have any more stage breaks. It's going to be 50 laps to that 100-point checkered flag, so we're going to see some fuel strategies possibly come into factor, maybe even some tire strategies if people haven't taken tires at this point, or if even they take them at all. So 50 laps is almost, actually it's entirely double of what the stage race was, but we've gone 50, we've got 50 to go, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see if any pit road strategies come into play here towards the second half of this race.
Yeah, I definitely think we'll have some strategy come into play, and what I think we'll also have to come into play, that is, of course, cautions. I do not think we're anywhere near out of the woods. Like, you know, you always hear that saying, we're not out of the woods yet. I think we're in the middle of the rainforest right now. Like, we're not even close to being out of the woods with right now 47 laps to go. And, you know, again, they have 120, I think 100 to 125 reasons, depending on what the payout is based on car count, to get to the front. That's 125 reasons I'm going to put you in the wall on lap 99.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Finding out that payout for this kind of makes me wish I had brought my truck to the race. $125. That's a pretty decent payout here for the iRacing community. As we're gonna have some huge contact towards the back, as we got one truck going up and over in turns 1 and 2. So this one here, Cody, it may have been the big one, as it looks like we've got a bunch of trucks involved.
And that is Taylor Peacock in the 81 as he goes rolling it. We'll go back and take a look here at the swag replay and see exactly what happened. And why not? Let's run on board with him here. Again, you're riding on board with the 81 of Peacock. And right there, he gets turned, and he good trades in iRacing for Flight Simulator there for a minute.
Yeah, you saw him. He just got hooked in that right rear. There wasn't really much he can do about it. At that point, it's just let go of the wheel, grab the belts, and, hold on for one wild ride, because you are definitely in for the ride of your life there. As we're going to take a look in the outboard camera here now from the blimp, as you see just a little bit of contact going to come up here as he gets hooked right there in the right rear, and that just sends him right up. But the thing that you never want to see, and, thank God that, this is iRacing. We saw a hit almost similar to that. You saw that pink and, I believe it's pink and gray or pink and black truck. Yeah,
Mike Adamson.
Yeah, similar to how Ryan Newman got hit here earlier towards last season. So, you never really want to see that, but here in the iRacing world, it's definitely scary just as much as it is in the real world, even though you don't have to pay the medical consequences of it.
Yeah, definitely glad you don't have to pay the medical consequences. And there you see right there that pink and silver 46 of Mike Adamson just drifting up out of his lane, tags the back quarter panel of the 10 of Ken Byron, who of course then turns it sideways right into the other car. And well, there you go. There's the reasoning for the caution, as Matt Lee's still out front. Again, I said we were nowhere out of the woods. Well, now we just knocked down some of the trees in the woods. It's a little clear, but we're still in the woods.
Interesting thing that I had saw here on live timing and scoring just before we came into the pits, the number 42 of Andrew Navarro. The last time he had come down pit lane was on lap 26. So Andrew Navarro not coming down on that 50-lap stage break for cautions. So he's going to come down now with the rest of them. As you see, the whole front 12 cars in the field going to go into the pits, as it looks like we're going to have a couple of cars on their way out of the pits right now. It's going to be interesting to see who gets the race off of pit road, as it looks like the 76 of Ron Morris Jr. going to inherit the lead of any pit lane strategy, as he stayed out on the field, Cody.
He did. Well, let's see how that stacks up for him as you look here. We'll look at his pit stops here very quickly there. The 76 of Ron Morris currently first. 2 pit stops. He's only got 7 laps on those tires. Of course, keep in mind that about maybe 2 of them now, going on 3, were under this caution. So he doesn't have a whole lot of wear on him. However, you go back just one spot here to Matt Lee, who's way back here. 3 stops, currently second. 0 on his tires. But we did mention earlier, tires at this track aren't as big a deal. They don't eat up the tires like somewhere like Las Vegas or Atlanta or something like that. So I don't know if the tires are going to be that big of an issue for him, but we'll definitely just have to wait and see. He will have less fuel, and based on how much fuel they have and how much they can go to the end, that could play a factor if we go to the end here, and if we have a green-white checkered, which they have 2 attempts at overtime.
Yeah, and it's like I pointed out at the beginning of the broadcast, Cody, tire wear really not a factor here, as I would have been surprised, just me alone, my pit strategy probably would have been to, come down on the 25-lap cycle, just to make sure that we do have fuel. If we do have fuel, I probably would have stayed out. just a little bit longer. But you see, guys, like Lee, just now taking tires. So, like I had pointed out, around like lap 50, maybe give or take a couple of laps, guys that come in, refresh that rubber just to have a little bit of that extra speed back from that extra rubber for grip. So, Lee's been pretty fast and pretty dominant on them old tires throughout the first 50 laps and towards the end of that second stage. Now that he's got new rubber, it's going to be pretty interesting to see just how much more speed is in that 04 machine, and if anybody else is going to have anything for him, as we saw him be able to control the front two lanes for the first 25 laps of the race, and now with both of the mains being sort of incapacitated at the current time, it's going to be pretty interesting to see if anybody's got anything for that 04, as he's got one heck of a hot ride in that GTR 04 machine.
Yeah, he has definitely got a hot rod here tonight. We'll see. This is really the first time we've talked about Ron Morris at the front. He has been towards the front, but not the lead. And, you talk about this while we have the lights off real quick. Lead car, you have this under your control. How much pressure does it take off or add to you being that lead car, knowing that you are the one starting this field? You can't make any mistakes, or you could possibly stack the whole field up.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that you don't want to do when taking the green at Daytona. For one, you don't want to spin your tires, and I'll tell you right now, this is a perfect example. The gap that you see between those three cars on the inside lane is going to hurt them, as they do not have nearly the momentum of draft that they have on the outside lane. As you see, the outside going to pick up some speed. Pretty interesting to see the 04 drop down. Is the second place car going to drop down with him, as he's going to thread the needle to force it in there for P2. So, pretty interesting. Like I pointed out a couple of times, you really don't want that big gap that you would at a normal track like Las Vegas or Atlanta or Charlotte when taking off on a green flag. You want that car starting right behind you, right on your back bumper. Keep as much aerodynamic movement forward as you can, and really help that draft, help you try to pull away a little bit over the competitors behind you.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to pull away too far. And look at this freight train going on here. Single file for about the first 15 or so cars before you get back to that little second group. Right now, if I am anybody in this field, I think I want to be somewhere right about in here. We haven't talked about him, and that is Zachary Bonazich. Again, Bonazich. Again, we'll get to that name in a little bit. We're probably butchering that one pretty bad. But him, Billy Weeks, Bladen Edwards, I want to be somewhere back in here if it's me, because I know if I'm back here, I'm still in contention, but I'm saving fuel by being somewhere back here. Of course, not as much, because they're quite a bit spread out here. They're not bumper to bumper like I would expect them to be.
And keep an eye as you see, look who's coming back through the field, as he looks like he may have came down and got a little bit more aero work. That 23 of Garrett Maines, he is back in action. He is leading this outside lane all the way up to this second group. He has got one hot rod now, as he's got a couple of cars in tow, as he's going to lose one that drops down to the inside. So that gap not going to help them any to get towards the front, as it looks like they're going to lose their support. So you see them coming down, doing a little bit of side draft. That's what's allowing them to stay in as powerful with their draft as this inside lane, as you see much more cars down on the inside compared to the outside, as now this huge gap that you see right there between second and the fourth competitor is going to be very beneficial to this outside lane, as it's going to give them the momentum, as it looks like he's going to thread the needle. Morris in the 76, he's going to come up. Garrett Maines looking like he might have gotten on the binders and let him in line. So, guys looking to shuffle for some positions here towards the front, Cody. I don't think the chaos is going to be any short of continuing here as we get closer to this 100-lapper. Guys are getting pretty hot and heavy and looking pretty impatient and ready to get towards the front of this.
Yeah, we have 39 laps to go. We've completed 61, and like you said just now, the drive to get to the front right now is just increasing the closer and closer we get to the end of this race, and they want that paycheck. They want the points. There's a lot on the line. Again, once we get to the post-race show, we'll sit down and roughly figure out what these guys are going to make. Again, it really depends on the driver count. Looks like we got 24, and they all should be paid in, hopefully, to the race. So it is a pay-to-play if you're looking to get into it. Look them up at Swag Simulation World Auto Group on a Facebook page. You can find out more information. Just a single file line here for the first couple of cars till you get about third, fourth place, maybe even fifth place. Then you're starting to see them go too wide again. As you know, your buddy there, look who's coming in there, Jared Mogard in that 00 machine.
Yeah, Jared Mogard looking to try to get some momentum going back, as he's currently sitting back in the 18th position on the ticker. He's still 2 laps down. So Jared Mogard looking to possibly make a little bit of headway and get some of these laps back here towards the end of this race, as it looks like he's trying to recover from an early race hiccup.
And in my imagination, do we have 2 cars there that have the checkered on top of them?
I'm going to have to look a little closer. I'm not 100% sure.
There you look, there is a 55. That is Zachary. Again, we'll call him Zachy B here for tonight's racing. Wait till we clarify that name on the last name. But he does. He's covered it up with the 55, and he indeed has a checkered board on there. And he's also looks like a similar font there. Makes you wonder if those two are possibly working together here tonight.
Yeah, it looks like they've got a identical sponsor there on the hood of both of those trucks, as you get a good view there from the aerial coverage here. I do believe that possibly may be a tag team tandem here on this outside lane working together. So currently it looks like I'm going to take a stab in it. I'm going to say Zachary Bazanich. He's currently in the 6th position in that 55 machine. So going to be curious to see if maybe Jared Mogard's just trying to help get his teammate to the front. As you see a little bit of smoke there, it looks like things might be getting a little heated here, as it looks like we may have some 3-wide racing towards the middle. Yes, it looks like it's going to be Garrett Maines who's stuck in the middle right now, kind of hung out to dry with no support. As you see that sort of like funnel effect that it puts on the draft here, as you see one sole lead car and then 2 draft lines forming from that. So pretty interesting to see how the draft was working there for these drivers in such a weird formation, Cody, that kind of brings me back to like my childhood watching the Mighty Ducks, like the Flying V.
Yeah, you know, that's crazy. Great minds must think alike. I was thinking the Flying V going on around here myself. It does look like that. You have the one and then they kind of fan out like a V shape. So, you know, if that's the Flying V that's going on this track, I'm a little scared because, you know, they were playing some trickery on the other team when they did that.
Yeah, it's definitely a game of tricks and trades here at Daytona, as it's pretty much all fuel conservation and just how well you can work with the draft and how much you make air work for you here. As you see everybody just kind of riding here, not really much of an advantage to either lane. The outside lane getting a little bit of steam to get up to the front, as now you see the 23 of Maines to the back bumper of Mogard. Truck's getting out of line, as it looks like Maines might be getting a little too push happy. He's going to go to the inside of Mogard. He's going to force the situation 3 wide. He's going to leave Mogard on the outside all high and dry. So it's going to be interesting to see if maybe the 55 comes up and possibly tries to grab along with his teammate, or if he stays in line hoping that maybe he can hold on to this position as we reach 33 laps to go this time at the line.
Yeah, going to be 33 to go. Again, closing in on those final laps here very quickly is Maines. Again, if Garrett Maines could just possibly get back up there, you know, it makes you wonder how good that truck really is if he's managing to hang on to a good spot right now. Again, sitting in 7th position with damage. How good is that truck? Again, this is a fixed setup. Of course, all setups for the series for this one and the other one brought to you by Ryco Motorsports. So make sure you check them out at Ryco, little hyphen dash, or dash, whatever you want to call it, motorsports.com for all your setups. But again, they're on a fixed Ryco setup here. So how good of a driver do you got to be to take a damaged truck and make that thing into a top 5, possibly top 3, or winning truck here tonight?
Well, right now, Cody, the thing that's working to his advantage is he's got some pretty clean race trucks in front of him. As you point out, every dent in your vehicle here at Daytona is that much slower than the vehicle that is straight as an arrow. So the thing that's working for him right now is the fact that he's got 2 machines in front of him that are, pretty straight for the most part. It doesn't look like they've got any damage at all, actually. So he's able to actually ride in some pretty good draft. The thing that's going to be detrimental to him is if he gets hung out towards the front of this pack, because that's going to slow that line down just a little bit from what they should be with a straight bodied car in front of them. So right now, Garrett Maines, I think his strategy is going to be, try to get to the front as much as he can, tuck in behind somebody, and try to set up towards the end of this race rather than try to get to the lead right now.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I think here, we got 32 laps to go. We're coming up on those last 20 here in the 12 laps. We talked about you're going to amp it up, amp it up, something like that in the end. But, to you, if you're in this race, which obviously, hopefully you don't go down to the racetrack next week, but with the money involved, when is go time here? When do you really say, okay, all bets are off, I'm going to the front, you're either with me or you're against me?
Well, with the green-white checkers being a factor here, I'd say really the go time is about when we get to about lap 95, 90, somewhere in there. I think once we reach things are going to get a little dicey here as we got the field trying to split 3 wide around a lap car. That's not going to work. 4 wide at Daytona is not going to be a fun time for these drivers, Cody. It looks like everybody's going to get situated out, and we're going to be able to keep things green and clean here for the continuation so far of this second half of the 50 laps.
Yeah, I rarely throw this word out there, and that is the word dominate. And as of right now, here with 30 laps to go, I think we can honestly say that so far, now we're going to say he's going to dominate the whole race, but so far, Matt Lee in that 04 machine has really put on a dominating performance. He's been up front or in the front all race long. However, Andrew Navarro has been as well, and Ron Morris, well, he hadn't been up there at the front all race, starting to make a name for himself there. And we talked about Garrett Maines, but Ryan Kendall, we haven't talked about him a whole lot. He's now in the mix of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure if we can pull up a ticker like we would in the real racing to see, how far back Lee has fallen. I'm pretty sure he's been in the top 5 for, if not all of the race at this point, but most of it, as you pointed out, the dominance there. But, it's like you pointed out, we got some other guys that we haven't really talked about a lot or seen towards the front of this pack making their way towards the front. Like, we got the 42 of Andrew Navarro, the 68 of Ryan Kendall, and the 29 of Nicholas Sacco making their way into the top 10 right now.
And one car that's in the mix of the things, but not really in the mix of the things, that is the 7 of Derek Fulton. He is currently 1 lap down, scored in 14th up here, pushing these guys. And we hate to bring it up, but you have to. It's a storyline in here. There is, a lot of not hatred or anger, but a lot of animosity between some drivers, like Derek Fulton and possibly the 04 Matt Lee. We've seen it in other leagues. They've been involved in events together. We won't say whose fault it was one way or the other, but that is some drivers that you have to watch around. That you've got to be around them and race. It's kind of like on eggshells when they're racing around each other.
Yeah, one thing that I'd have to point out is, you point out rivalries like that, but it being the trucks here at Daytona, I can't think of a better kind of rivalry that corresponded in the trucks within, the last decade, and that being Ron Hornaday Jr. and Kyle Busch. It's going to be kind of interesting to see if maybe those two kind of adapt that kind of rivalry going through towards the rest of the season with that animosity. But, these drivers, I think they're focused on the end game here, and, they're looking to, maybe put matters of the past behind them. Race car drivers, they say they never forget, but it's going to be interesting to see if, maybe they're able to, let bygones be bygones, considering the paycheck at the end of the night.
Well, if I recall that battle that went on between them two, that rivalry, was that not the rivalry where Kyle Busch deliberately put Ron Hornaday in the wall in the race?
Potatoes. I mean, not everything gets the Hollywood happy ending, but I mean, hey, it was a really good battle. I mean, did I say Kyle Busch was right? No. Is Kyle Busch right about 90% of the things he does? Probably not. But, the on-race action, you said there's some animosity. Let's see if maybe they, do a recreation of that.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, one of those drivers, love him, hate him, you can't deny the talent. He's got that. But, I don't know if I'd compare him to the Dale Earnhardt like a lot of people have, but, he comes out and he does his job. That's what these guys are doing right now, and doing a bang-up job at it. As we're coming up on 25 laps to go. Just an amazing race, and so far it's been good. Now we're starting to see that single file freight train, and while we're seeing this single file freight train here with 25 to go, we are going to step away for the last commercial break of the night. So we will be back here as we'll go non-stop here for you, so you don't miss a thing for about a lap or so, and we'll be back here after we kind of thank the sponsors for what they do to make this all possible.
We're based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom T-shirts, racing. We'll do any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized. I mean, we'll do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything, hoodies, hats. We do embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. You can call us for anything. We do offer the bag and fold, to where you can receive them and they're already labeled and tagged and bagged, ready to give out to your customer and stuff. So you just call us and just tell us, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, and if we're going to put the car on there, it is 125 quantity minimum. If it's without the car, it's 60 quantity minimum. That's strictly on the racing stuff. If it's a business or something, if you race on Texas shirts, it's a little bit differently. You can call us. It just depends on your quantity and ink colors. Everything is hand drawn. I mean, everything.
All right, we didn't get to finish the commercial. We are back here for a swag replay. And, we told you it happened. We didn't say it on air, but we said we're going to our last commercial break. A caution will happen. It happened.
Yeah, usually that last commercial break is it's sort of like the announcer's curse, if you will. People say, "Hey, don't pick me to win if you're in the broadcast booth," because usually that ends up being some bad luck for that particular driver. And cautions go the same way for us announcers. We go to the commercial break and we're expecting some clean racing, and there you see is the 76. He's just going to come down a little bit. He wasn't as clear as he thought he was. He just hooked that front nose of the, I believe that was the 04 of Lee, and just around he's going to go. So that's going to bring out the caution here with, I believe, about 23 laps to go.
Yeah, you see right there, as we go on board with the 04 Lee, he gets in front of him, he slides up, Matt Lee comes down, or tries to fill that hole, he comes back down with the holes filled up, as unfortunately that is how, racing goes sometimes. You go to fill a spot, it's open, you come back again, and it's just not there. So of course, no fault to the 04 or the 76, just trying to come back down into a spot that was no longer there. He had the real estate, and that real estate disappeared.
Yeah, and as you could see there from the onboard camera of Matt Lee, he picked up a little bit of right front damage from that wreck. So going to be interesting to see if he does a little bit of body work here to straighten that machine out here in the pits. As you can see, just a little bit of that body bent in, just a little bit as he comes down into his box. But we're going to have a couple of guys already out of their pit stall. It looks like Garrett Main's going to be out. It looks like he's going to be third off the line. Not sure exactly who that was that picked up the race off pit pit road, but it looks like Nicholas Sacco's going to win the race off pit road, and Garrett Main's going to actually beat the 42 of Andrew Navarro to the line. So Garrett Main's going to be P2 after that pit strategy. So going to be pretty interesting, Cody, to see if, just how much slower he is with that body damage.
Yeah, it definitely will be interesting to see. Again, hopefully it doesn't slow him down too much. But we've already established he's behind somebody. He's going to be good. However, he's going to be starting outside row 1 here for the restart, which means he is going to have nobody in front. And it looks like the front of that car, that splitter, looks like it has gone through a gravel yard and just destroyed the front of it. The back doesn't look quite as bad, but the front definitely messed up. So the arrow's got to be ill handling on the car. We'll just have to wait and see how bad it is on the restart.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see exactly how much damage there is on that, as I'm not sure if there's any damage on that 29 to Nicholas Sacco. We haven't really talked much of him or seen much of him towards the front of this race up to this point. So looks to me from this angle right here, looks like he's got a pretty clean race truck underneath him. So, we're going to have a clean truck on the inside and a, pretty beat up damaged truck on the outside. So if you guys wanted to see just how much importance of Daytona racing is the aerodynamic aspect, this restart here will show you just exactly what you get with the slightest little bit of damage to your body when it comes to the aerodynamic draft racing here at Daytona and other places such as like Talladega.
Yeah, drafting definitely affects the body damage affects the drafting. There we go. We get a little backwards on ourselves, but the lights are off, so I would venture to guess here that they are using the short cautions, which is a fairly new feature here to iRacing, and one, quite frankly, that I absolutely love on these super speedways, where you can run short cautions, as they're called, and only run a lap or two under caution instead of 4 or 5 laps under caution.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, there's nothing worse than having a pace fest at Daytona and Talladega. Under green flag conditions, without the draft, you're looking at maybe like a 49, 50-second lap time. Under caution, you're looking at almost 2 minutes and 30 seconds as far as lap times go. So it's a pretty significant time frame that you're running at 80 mile an hour, and 80 mile an hour around a 2.5 mile racetrack is definitely time consuming over the course of 5 laps. Is the iRacing pace car gonna go down to the pit lane? We are back under green flag racing, and there you see just how much of a jump that arrow is, as Garrett Main's gonna thread the needle down into 3rd place, as he is just gonna stuff that car down in there between Navarro and it looks like that's the 54 of Curtis Critchley. So Garrett Main's doing exactly what he had to do. He had to fall back in line somewhere behind somebody in order to stay up towards the front of this pack with the damage that he's got to that number 23 machine.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be, like I talked about earlier, getting the lead on the last lap to make a last lap pass. That's what he's going to have to do. If he gets out there on his own and nobody goes with him, he is definitely in trouble. He's got to be behind somebody till the very last minute. I will say it looks like Derek Fulton in that 7 machine back on the lead lap now, as well as I believe Adamson might have been a lap down at one point. He's on the lead lap, so those guys are going to see if they can team up here's a team and see what they can do with 19 laps to go. That's all that remains here of this 100 lap race, as the race has been on, but here in the next 9 laps the race really is on.
Yeah, everybody from the back is going to try to get to the front and try to set up for a pretty good finish for themselves here. So keep an eye towards the back of this pack here, as you're going to see guys maybe starting to look towards that 3 wide option, as you see the outside lane starting to get ahead of steam here, as you see the 23 of Garrett Maines has fallen off that back bumper of the 42 of Navarro. What that has done is that has allowed that damaged race truck to feel a little bit of that impact of the air, and it's keeping him slowed down. down is that you see Navarro jump out of line and allow that air to break up a little bit more, and allow the 23 to be able to get back to his back bumper to keep that inside line intact. So now you see that inside line starting to retake some of the ground that they had lost to that outside line, as it looks like they're going to be clear up to about the 5th position almost with that outside lane. So going to be pretty interesting to see if any of these guys on the inside jump up to that outside and try to make something happen, as there's only 2 trucks trying to make it happen right now. Everybody else is tucked up single file bumper to bumper on the inside.
Yeah, of course, the 2 that are in there, they're going to be a 68 and the 7, as you can just see, as we can go on board here with the 7 of Fulton, and you can see exactly what he's seeing, as he's got Ryan Kendall right in front of him. And one, you can't hardly see through these cars, as now it looks like, is that the 42 of Navarro that jumped up there? I believe it is. So he's going to jump up there and try to make something happen, but you can see the inside lane really just pulling away.
Yeah, and this view right here, this onboard camera under green flag race, and this really gives you a bird's eye view as what these drivers are going through. You know, you don't get the speed aspect of it, but these guys are going around this track at about 180, 190 mile an hour. So, you know, in a pack like this, you know, you can see just how little room you have to work with. You know, just to explain a little bit of the cautions that have happened so far. So there you see, you know, I mentioned it, and it's going to come out again as we're going to have some action towards the back, as it looks like this one's going to involve can't make out a number. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Bladen Edwards, the 72. So we're going to go to the swag instant replay as you see him coming down into turns number 3 and 4. It looks like he's just going to get into the wall. He's going to come down and collect another truck, and it's just going to be pure chaos from there for these guys here towards the end of this race. But it's going to be pretty interesting, see if anybody comes down on this pit stop at all. I mean, they came down on lap 78, but some of these guys towards the back, like Brandon Gagnon and Nicholas Navarro, that are a couple of laps down, they've been staying out hoping to possibly get a caution that could, you know, put them back on the lead lap. So be interesting to see if, you know, some of these lap down cars come into the pits and you know, try to make a run towards the front of this pack.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Is the original contact there between the 81 and him, that is Taylor Peacock, has made a little contact there, maybe just slid up the track a little bit. But, you know, one thing we haven't talked about here, Brett, is the setup itself. Again, the setup provided by Ryko Motorsports. Check them out. But fixed setups, they're different than you know, an open set where you can adjust stuff. You're running low on fuel versus a full fuel tank. Do you maybe come down and top it off on fuel just because it handles better with a full tank of fuel? Or we haven't got a chance to talk to any drivers. Is this setup maybe handling better with less fuel in the tank? Those are factors in that may factor in if these guys come down and take fuel or not.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have the lucky dog come around the top of the outside. Almost looked like he got into the second place car there. But it's going to be pretty interesting. I don't think anybody's looking like they're going to come down here towards the front of the pack, as it looks like the only people that are coming into pit right now is the 11 of Peyton Hall, the 72 of Bladen Edwards, the number 1 of Jared Mogard, and the 76 of Ron Morris Jr. So it looks like only a couple of the cars that are a lap down going to be able to come in and make some adjustments, see if they can make a run towards the front and possibly get a lap back and get to a top 10 finish here in this race here.
Yeah, definitely. You know, top 10 is good. You want to get the win if you can. But right now it's the 54 of Critchley that is out front. 15 laps to go. It looks like we'll be taking the green flag with about 13 to go. Again, 10 laps to go. I say it's go time. It's time to get to the front. But again, we've established this over and over again. You want to get to the front, but you don't want to get to the front too soon. It's that age-old thing. You want to have time to pass them, but you don't want to give them time to pass you back.
Yeah, and the thing that throws Daytona through a loop as far as that passing factor from what you see at another super speedway like Daytona is you see right there in the middle of the tri-oval is the start-finish line here at Daytona. At Talladega, the start line isn't somewhere about right here for the drivers, so it does provide a little bit more of a hiccup for these drivers. Is it's easier to get a little bit more of a run through that dog leg through the tri-oval at Talladega than Daytona. I think if anybody's going to be looking to make a late race pass, it's going to be coming out of turn 4 into that little I guess you could call it semi-straightaway before we get to the tri-oval here at Daytona.
Yeah, definitely. These are all those things that are up in the air that we just have to kind of wait and see. We don't know what's going to happen till it happens. What we do know is about to happen is we are going racing this next time by 13 laps to go. Again, if you're just tuning in, first off, glad to have you here with us for the PMI Truck Series. This is the pavement marking 100 here at Daytona. 100 laps around this monster of a track, and we are closing in the final stages. Well, not technically stages, but we've already done the stages, but final laps of this race, and it's been a good one so far. A few cautions. I don't know. We'll say I don't think we're out of the cautions yet. I think we're going to see at least one more.
Yeah, if you thought anybody was racing hard up to this point yet, just wait until we get about that 6 to 7 lap to go range, about halfway to the distance of what we're at right now. It's going to get hot and heavy as you're going to see possibly that 3-wide lane start to form here. It looks like the leader's going to spin the tires just a little bit on that start, as it looks like everybody's going to check up and allow him to get it back under control. He's going to open up a little bit of a gap, and that's exactly what that outside lane wants to see, especially with that 23 of Maine's pushing behind, as it looks like that's going to be, I believe, the 29 machine on the outside lane. So we got a couple of guys in the top 5, Cody, that we haven't seen towards the front all race, and we've also got a guy at the front in the 23 of Garrett Maines who we've seen getting a couple of wrecks throughout the course of the race, as it looks like it's pretty even racing between the two lines right now. A little bit of an advantage to the inside lane, but not surprising with how many cars they got down there versus the top side.
Yeah, definitely not. And Matt Lee was involved in that caution earlier. Jason Maines just not quite clear. Comes down, clips the nose of him. He is currently sitting in 11th position on the lead lap. Keep in mind, he had been up front dominating this race for so long. He may have a little bit of damage, but he did have a fast repair. He hadn't been involved in anything, so he's going to try to work his way back to the front. But right now, he's back with Mike Adamson in the 46. And we'll just have to see if those two work together or not to get to the front. It doesn't look like they're going to. Matt Lee going to take to the high side.
Yeah, I think Matt Lee may have had to check up for that previous caution that we had just gotten here a couple of laps ago, and it cost him a couple of spots, because I don't think he's had too much to worry about, as he's been up front for the majority of this race. But you see everybody pretty much staying in line. There's a little bit of a gap on that outside lane. That's going to give the inside the advantage back here. So keep an eye on that 54 on the bottom, as it looks like we're going to have another group of cars trying to sort things out in the back. It looks like we have a driver possibly trying to set up a third lane in the middle. He's going to think better of it and go to the inside. So, people just trying to get in where they fit in, trying to take advantage of some opportunities, maybe a couple holes that they have seen over the course of the last green flag run. Looks like everybody's pretty much tucked up bumper to bumper, so looks like these guys are pretty much just looking to push their way towards the last couple of laps here before things are going to get hot and heavy. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody's going to be willing to take it 3 wide here, Cody, and if so, who's it going to be? As you see the outside lane and the inside lane pretty much even in tow with the amount of cars that they've got working for them, and this really isn't doing anything to benefit anybody but the front 2 contenders here in that 54 of Curtis Critchley and the 29 of Nicholas Sacco.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't been benefiting anyone else as we now have 10 laps to go. We'll be in single digits to go when we take to the line next time by. Again, this is go time. You've got to get to the front. If you are right here, you're probably a contender for this race. You know, you never count anyone out, and there goes the 3 wide you were talking about as the 29 of Sacco going to take to the high side. Maybe the 23 going to go Derek Fulton, maybe trying to make something happen as well, but he will not have the run he needs. That 29 of Sacco, though, just kind of getting left out to dry, but now maybe he's going to have some company from the 55.
Yeah, Derek Fulton just got shot out of a cannon. He went bonsai to the middle there, made it work, got the car clear. He actually brought the 23 of Garrett Maines in tow, and I believe that's the 55 of Bosniak there in behind them. So we got some pretty fast trucks on the outside lane, but everybody on the inside looking pretty strong too as you take a good look at this field as they roll through 3 and 4. Everybody just trying to ride in the draft, the outside lane, trying to get a little bit more momentum going here, as it looks like right now the inside's the place to be. But that little bit of a hiccup there from Navarro in the 42 is going to allow that outside lane to come to the front. So keep an eye as this draft goes on for this last remaining handful of laps here. You know, just how much this draft plays a factor, and if anybody can kind of Dale Earnhardt you know, channel their inner Dale Earnhardt if they can, and make a move from the back to the front.
Yeah, that is what you want to do. Get from the back to the front if you're not already at the front. Again, 8 laps to go. I don't know if I want to be sitting pretty at the front right now, because it may not be sitting pretty for you later. You know, this is where you get into those last couple of laps where someone is going to possibly push something a little more than they should, a little more than they need to, and get to your back bumper and possibly put you in the wall, put you in the fence, or through the infield. So if I want to be, you know, somewhere I want to be where someone like Garrett Maines is right now. If I didn't have the damage he had, I want to be right there, 4th, 5th place. I think that is the money spot to get to the front right here in the next 7 laps.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be the front car in either side lane. Honestly, right now, I think if these trucks were to single file out, the truck that's sitting real pretty right now would probably have to be the 68 of Kendall, or I would even go as far as a stretch to say maybe even that 3rd place truck down on the inside. Trying to point out a number. Yes, that's Kendall there, the 3rd truck on the inside lane. Also the truck right behind him, that 10 car as well of Ken Byron, as we talked a little bit about him earlier. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, who goes where, as we're double file still inside 10 to go. So things getting pretty single filed out. Doesn't look like too many guys are looking to get too wild right now, but you know, the question is, you know, when are these guys willing to say enough's enough? You know, this is my now or never.
Yeah, I think that time is coming very soon. We're going to be coming up on 5 laps to go. It is that time where drivers say, okay, you're my teammate, you're my buddy. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm going for the win. And they don't, you're not a teammate, you're not a buddy. You are the driver that's going to push them in the victory lane here tonight, so you can drink from the giant champagne bottle, whatever it is in victory lane you're going for, money, whatever it is. This is go time right now. 5 laps to go. All bets are off if I'm in this field right now.
Yeah, as it looks like maybe a couple of guys starting to get a little closer to the back bumpers of the truck in front of them. So going to be interesting to see if maybe you see a little bit more of the bump draft aspect rather than just, you know, sitting back and ticking off some laps like we've seen over the past 20 or 30 laps here. As you see the leader of Fulton going to go up to the top side with Maines. You know, that's given the outside lane that momentum that they've needed. It's going to be interesting to see if Fulton's going to keep Maines on his back bumper. He's got to know about that damage that Maines has, but, you know, if you're Fulton, do you use that as your advantage, or do you do you play the nice guy role and, you know, allow that damaged truck to push you to the front?
Yeah, if it's me, I'm not playing nice guy. I'm going to slide up and try to take the lead, but he's not quite clear right now, so he can't do it. And that's going to be the question. one, the outside lane, obviously he needs more trucks behind it to push it to the front typically, and you've got a damaged truck pushing you as well. So if he's going to make a move, he needs to do it, and he needs to get in front. But it looks like Garrett Maines may not have any of that. He tried to go down and steal the spot, and now if you look at Fulton, he's not on the offensive trying to get the lead. He's on the defense trying to hold off that 23 of Garrett Maines.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, though, if there's anybody on this track right now who is sitting pretty, it is that 7 machine of Fulton. He has got that damage number 23 of Maines behind him, and he's got that inside position on the 42, and I believe that's the 54 of Critchley, as now you see him come down to the bottom lane. So let's see just how much that bottom lane starts to fall back with that damaged truck towards the front, as I believe this was the strategy that Derek Fulton's trying to play. He's going to come back up to the front in front of Maines and block. So it's going to be interesting to see if this strategy pays off for Fulton, as these guys are starting to get a little heated and a little hot and heavy, as Maines was looking to the inside, but here comes Critchley back to the front.
Yeah, I'm not sure the strategy call there. Like you said, he had a good strategy. Let that outside lane suffer because of the Garrett Maines damage, but then he jumps right back in front of Garrett Maines here, as we are coming right there with 2 laps to go. Again, not sure on the call to jump back in front, but now as you see Garrett Maines going to the bottom.
Yeah, Garrett Maines, I'm not sure if this was the wise move by Maines, as he's got a little bit of damage. It's not going to be such a good ride for him on the outside. I think he may have made his move just a lap too soon. But as you see, Fulton's still going to hold the lead as they come by the camera. He's going to drop down in front of Maines, and it looks like the 29 is going to come with him. So now Maines really has his work cut out for him, as he's sitting in the 3rd position currently. Maines went from the outhouse or the penthouse to about 3rd off of that, as he's looking like he's going to try to make it 3 wide. We got some caution, contact, and the whole field's getting into it. Here's the big one.
That is the big one, and you see it right there, the ticker going up in laps. We are going to go into overtime here for tonight's race, and Garrett Maines somehow makes it through. Sacco wiping the field clean here, as we'll take a look at the swag instant replay here and see exactly what happened as we go high in the sky with your All-American pools. And right there, just contact between Garrett Maines, the 29, and it's going to send some trucks up and over. Ken Byron in that 10 going for a wild ride.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of drivers not happy with Garrett Maines tonight. As you see, Garrett Maines, he was sitting there in that 3rd position, and it looks like the 29 truck, he's going to get a shot in the back from Maines. He's going to go to the outside to avoid getting into the back of the leader, and Maines going to try to shoot the gap right here, and it may look like a little bit of contact. I'm not sure. Doesn't seem like I can get a close enough view there, but looks like just a little bit of contact there between the trucks, and that's going to be just enough to cause controversy here for this front pack.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for those guys up front, who somebody who does somehow survive that is the 23 of Garrett Maines. But again, with that damage on his truck, it's not going to make it easy on him. And I think I'd be venturing to guess, if you're in the top 10 right now and didn't get damage from that, I don't see you coming down pit road.
And you see we got a truck out there smoking on the racetrack, as it looks like that's the number 10 machine. I do believe, yes, it looks like that is the 10 machine of Ken Byron.
And also the 83 of Brandon Gagnon. And you saw that puff just there. I believe that engine has expired.
Yeah, so multiple cars involved in this, as it looks like Matthew Lee also going to be involved in that 04. So, one of the drivers who's had a standout race here and pretty much dominated the first half of this event, getting caught up in that wreck there, as he's going to come down. He's going to be in the pit right now, along with Brandon Gagnon, the 7 of Derek Fulton, who was really starting to have a strong run towards the end of this race, running up in the top 5. He's going to also be in the pit, along with the 68 of Ryan Kendall as well. So a lot of top contenders inside the top 10 that had led laps here tonight, Cody, getting caught up in that wreck. But it looks like the 23, the Smithfield Elliott Sadler Esports machine, number 23 of Garrett Maines, for all the contact that he's taken and all the beating and banging that 23 machine has went through this evening, looks like Garrett Maines somewhere has a lucky rabbit's foot in that 23 machine, as he's been able to avoid death almost as far as motor damage and aerodynamic damage here tonight. And even barring all of the contact, he still finds himself at the front of this pack.
Yeah, someone needs to go check inside that car. You know what? We can go look in there. Let's go look in there. All right, now I don't see Dale Earnhardt's lucky penny in there anywhere, but he definitely has got Lady Luck on his side tonight in that number 23 machine, as he is out front leading this race. And the lights went off, but the lights came back on.
Yeah, I'm not sure if maybe there's some officials going back to look at the incident. Maybe there might be a penalty or something that's going to be issued here. But yeah, pretty interesting to see the lights come back on. That usually indicates, that the admin's up in the tower. They're still trying to figure out exactly what they're trying to do, what they want to do about, the incident that just happened on the track. I don't want to put, words out there for the admins or whatnot. I'm not one of the admins of this league, but, usually when you see them delay the caution, it's due to penalties or some sort of scoring issue.
Yeah, we'll see if we can reach out and find out what's going on. But again, 3 laps to go. This is overtime number 1. We will have one other attempt to try and get it all squared away and throw the checkered flag on this race. Is what we've seen so far in this race, Brett. I don't know who's going to win, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty much anybody's ball game at this point. You have the heavy damage number 23 of Garrett Maines. You also have the 54 of Curtis Critchley and the 42 of Andrew Navarro running P2 and P3. Not sure if these cars or these trucks actually got into any of the damage there when that truck chaos just ensued between the lead cars, but they've been running pretty strong towards the front, and I think right now the driver that we really need to keep an eye on here towards this green-white checkered would probably be the number 55 of Zachary Bazanich. He's been pretty consistent up towards the front. Looks like he's been pretty clean so far as his truck goes. I wouldn't be too shocked to see if maybe he's got something to throw up in the bag of hats for as far as tricks go here for this green-white checkered here at Daytona.
Yeah, the lights are officially off this time, so we should go racing. And it looks like race control possibly getting back to us on the reasoning for that. So we'll know that here momentarily. As we kind of predicted, bit of a controversial deal. They needed further review on the caution, so they have looked to have sorted that out. As with any race, you're gonna have drivers that aren't happy about something. It's just the nature of a driver. You can't please them. They're just strange creatures.
Yeah, we're definitely a bunch of oddballs. We all want to be better than the guy next to us or the guy in front of us. It's like you pointed out at the beginning. We got 24 cars that started this race here, but there can only be one winner, and just from the driver mindset that I have, every single one of these 24 drivers is definitely wanting that paycheck at the end of this race. And, that's the thing that, really gets the tempers going. A lot of racing, in real life, you see that, because of the money online, there's, not a lot of leagues and events that go on money-wise on the iRacing. A lot of it is the free stuff and whatnot. But when leagues do put money on the line and, drivers are actually, racing for cold hard cash, things can get a little bit more heated and a little bit more chaotic as far as racing goes.
That they can, and the green flag drops one more time. 2 laps to go here at Daytona for the PMI Truck Series and the pavement marking at 100. And again, it takes them a lap or so to get going here, get up to speed. So really, here, Brett, we have a 1-lap shootout by the time they get up to speed and get going.
Yeah, I think right now the thing that we're going to see here is I think you're going to see Critchley try to do that same type maneuver that Fulton was doing in block, but keep your eye out on the outside. It looks like the 29 coming on the outside with a hot head of steam. It looks like he's going from the back up to the front, as he's currently running 5th on the timing and scoring, but he did have a good head of steam there. It looked like he was going to possibly make a run for the lead.
Yeah, he was on his way to the front, and now he's kind of going the backwards direction, as there it is right there. That is 1 lap to go. So we officially take the white flag, which means this race cannot end under caution here. We will not go into overtime number 2, and they are 3 wide, and beating and banging the 81 collects the 46 almost. Somehow we stay green.
Yeah, and a good job to these drivers for being able to keep that going straight. A lot of good maneuvering to keep these trucks under saving. As we come down the back straightaway, you see drivers starting to fan out, possibly looking for a little bit, maybe if anything of a gap here. As you know, just like I said before we went green flag racing, take a look who's towards the front of this field. That's the 55 of Zachary Bazanich. I told you he was running a good race. As we come down into the tri-oval, it's going to be between the 55 of Bazanich and the 29 of Sacco, as there's going to be some contact. Give the race win to the 55 of actually, no, it looks like they're going to give the win to the 54 of Curtis Critchley.
We'll take a look and see, as again we'll watch, go back to your race leader of the 55 as we go back and take a look here at the swag replay. Again, right in here, you'll see right there the 29 just straight turns into the 55.
Yeah, it looked like he came down into that right rear. As Zachary Bazanich coming down to that last second announcer's curse. I'm telling you, he definitely had this race won. As you go on board here with the 29, and you see him trying to come down the track just a little bit, maybe get a little bit of side draft to possibly keep that truck next to him, and you see him just, you know, both drivers trying to go for the same bit of real estate, and the 54, you seen it right there, the 54 of Curtis Critchley able to just squeak his nose past the 29 at the line. I don't know if we can get an interval as to how close that finish was, but I'm guessing that was probably within a bumper nose.
There you go, 0.015. What definitely a very interesting race. The 54 is going to go backwards on the track.
Well, I mean, I've seen it all up to this point, Cody. You know, anything from you know, you got, you know, the regular traditional style Polish lap that, you know, was started by Alan Kowicki, but I don't think I've ever seen a backwards victory lane lap. As you see the 54 of Curtis Critchley down there burning it down in the infield, as he is definitely excited about how things played out for his favor tonight. As I'm not sure exactly what the paycheck is, but I believe it's somewhere around 125 big ones for him tonight.
Yeah, we'll definitely be looking to talk to the top 3 here in just a minute, and we'll have to sort that out here in just a minute. But of course, we do have your unofficial race results going in to the post-race show anyway. And of course, your unofficial race results brought to you by sawblade.com, and there you see it right there. Curtis Critchley getting the win here by 0.015 over Nicholas Sacco in the 29. Garrett Maines holds on, though, to 3rd place. Andrew Navarro taking in 4th. 5th place is going to be, as I like to call him, Zachy B here in the 55 machine. Followed by Michael Adamson, Billy Weeks, Taylor Peacock, Kieran Church, and Matthew Lee, who had a dominating performance, going to be wrapping up the top 10.
P11's going to go to the 82 of Nicholas Navarro. And P12 going to go to the 68 of Ryan Kendall. Next is going to be the 10 car of Ken Byron. Then it's going to be the 7 car of Derek Fulton, who's going to have to settle for a P4 after having a strong run towards the end of the race. Then it's going to be the 83 of Brandon Gagnon, the 00 of William Smith, who had troubles early on. Then it's going to go back to Peyton Howell, Bladen Edwards, Jared Mogard, and Ron Morris Jr. rounding out the top 20.
And of course, the rest of your field is going to be Christopher Blanchard, Jason Mays, John Winkler, and Ricky Howe Jr. Being a scratch on tonight's race and not making the call here in 24th position. That'll do it for your unofficial race results. We will be back here in just a few moments with your post-race show brought to you by Clan Wars servers. And we'll talk to the top 3 drivers in just a moment. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Clan Wars server post-race show. And an interesting and great race it was here indeed. We have the top 3 drivers here for the post-race show with us. And of course, coming in third here is going to be the 29 of Nicholas Sacco. Nicholas, you get third place here tonight. And a crazy finish coming to the line for sure. A lot of chaos ensuing there, but you managed to squeak out third place. Give us a rundown. How was this race, and how was it coming to the final laps of this race?
It was pretty wild. I think it was so wild that I don't know if I finished second or third, to be honest with you. But it was a good time out there. I think that I could have had something at the end there if I didn't have to come from sixth. But I mean, everyone ran clean up front really the whole time. I really don't have too many people to thank. The Buddy Project has been there for me since day one. I mean, if anybody has any old computers sitting around, please go to thebuddyproject.org. Take a look, and they're a great organization. It'd be a great way to get rid of some old junk.
And I do believe, actually, technically, we're supposed to start with third. We went to second. I believe that is where you finished. Our scoring all jumbled up there with the finish. But regardless, second or third, it's still going to be a nice payday for you here for tonight's race. Brett, any questions for me before we let him thank his sponsors?
Yeah, real quick. coming down to about 10 laps to go, me and Cody, we were sitting here wondering just exactly when the go time was going to be. I thought, we would see, a couple of guys trying to go around lap 7 with about 7 to go. You guys actually held on to that two-wide tandem there till probably about 4 or 5 to go. Was there really just not many moves to be made out there, or was it just a matter of trying to, wait out things just a little bit longer?
There really weren't too many moves to be made. You were kind of stuck where you were. And I'd hate to say anything bad about Garrett or anything, but he had a ton of damage, so I don't even know how he was up there. So everyone, I think, was trying to stay away from getting behind or in front of him because he couldn't push too well. But obviously, hats off to him to still get a top 3. But yeah, the Buddy Project, I got to thank them again. But again, still looking for more sponsorship for the rest of the season.
All right, well, there you have it. And you just mentioned a couple of them, or the ones there, but real quick, one more time, I want to thank those sponsors.
Yeah, obviously right now it's still just the Buddy Project. Obviously, you guys do a great job, so I got to thank you for the broadcast. Swag for putting on the show. Obviously, everybody involved, they've been really, really a good help since day one. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
All right, and we jumped around now that our scoring is looking good here. And I jumped up on our end. That was your second place finisher as we jump over to third place. That is going to be Garrett Maines. Garrett, just as Nicholas mentioned there, beaten and battered a truck. Somehow you managed to squeak a third place finish out of it. First off, congrats on the third place. And just what was that truck like? How much of a handful was it with all that damage reading up front here at Daytona?
The first thing I noticed when I joined this, into the race tonight is the setup handles a lot like open setups. I think this is actually intended to be ran in, a C open setting, and if you turn the wheel to the right, it hooks right. And I think that was like a lot of the reasons you're seeing people bobble more than often. And I got caught up in early crashes. I think it was lap 3. I was there. He bobbled. I got wrecked. And then I think later on in the race, I just kept being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Every single time it was possible. And I had 2 minutes of damage. I had pancaked the right, pancaked the left. It was not good. And it literally became just keep your foot to the floor and pray that, you don't run somebody over, because I couldn't push. So the only thing I could do is when people had to roll off the throttle going into the corner, I had to be on their bumper. I couldn't slam drive because it was going so slow. I was 9 miles per hour off the pace by myself. But if I just kept my foot down at all times and just pushed the right people at the right points, we could keep momentum up. And I just got up into that, into the top. And I just put my car where I had to maintain positions, went 3 wide when I got the opportunities, and honestly, I really don't know how I held on to it. I made the mistake halfway through the race. I was pushing John up to the front, I think it was, and he said, "Don't be afraid to give me a bump." So I came back on the radio, and I'm like, "Dude, I got this thing, it's called damage." Literally everybody behind me peeled off to the inside. They freaking hung me right out. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to remind them of that again.
Probably not the best idea to remind them you got the damage, but regardless, you get it. Brett, any questions for our third place finisher here tonight?
Yeah, I think I've got the $1 million question for you here tonight, Garrett. So we saw you get tangled up early on in the race, running there with your dad. Do you guys happen to race at the same, house and location, or even if the same room? Because I know me and my brother, our sim rigs, we're set up, right next to each other here, and just how much, how much father-son rivalry do you guys, go out on the racetrack? I know he's out here trying to help you promote your pro career and, trying to get to the top level of iRacing for the asphalt side of things. So do you guys race, side by side or even in the same household?
He's upstairs, I'm downstairs. I can tell you it's a good thing we're not in the same room, because that was not good. We weren't in the same Discord. I'm normally run these races by myself, like NIS, top split. I'm the only person on my team that runs the fixed stuff. So I'm on my own completely in those races. So I'm familiar with having to make moves, and judge only my car. And, when he hung me out, that was sort of the indicator, okay, he's not going to play nice, which is fine. I was expecting it. If I was him, I would have hung me out too. So I wasn't even mad. But later in the race, when I got tangled up, he's like, I was going to let you go on the high side. I'm like, all you had to do was stay high, and we were both going. Like, I wasn't even really thinking about making a move there. I thought we were in a good spot, but it was a little bit of a miscommunication. Like I said, we weren't in the same chat, and that was like a moment where I just like shook my head, because it was like not the way I wanted that to go. And I understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to get down, then he had like a second guess, what should I do here? And Matt had a run coming from behind, and just bad situation. But you know, we definitely work with each other whenever we get the opportunity. Mile and a half tracks, stuff like that, it works great. It's always really tough to work with people at Daytona, especially when you're not familiar with, you know, working with specific teammates. It can be really difficult, especially when you don't know the moves that the other is familiar with making. You don't know where to place your car and when to push, when not to.
Well, good question from Brett, of course. And what a race, of course. And we know you got some sponsors on that car to thank. Garrett, so who those be?
Yeah, for sure. Glad we can get them up in the podium positions tonight, so we can give them a shout out. Got to thank Smithfield, 101 CBD, SimSeach, Strickland Hardy, all the guys at ESE for putting together insane cars throughout RTP and getting us into the Pro Series, and hopefully we can continue that success on to Coke next year. And also got to thank the guys at Richmond Raceway Esports for their support.
All right, and of course that brings us to your race winner here tonight, the 54 of Curtis Critchley. Curtis, you get the win here tonight. A crazy finish coming to the line. You squeaked it out. What a race here. A few cautions overall. Looked like a pretty clean race, but what was it like behind the wheel here at the World Center of Racing? What were those last laps like?
Those laps were actually absolutely crazy in the last restart. I thought I lost it when I got the outside lane, because I usually like to ride the bottom just for the same reason that happened on those last two cautions, is that if you're on the bottom there and the leaders wreck, you have a nice escape route, and they usually wash up high there too. So that's kind of what won the race at the end, was going to the bottom, because that's exactly what happened there, what I've been preparing for. I usually don't like restrict plates, but today Daytona's been treating me well.
And it was a good payday. Of course, everybody in the top three should be making some money. Again, we can't quote it because, you know, I can't remember what the pay scale is now, but based on 24 cars, should be roughly in 100 to 125 bucks for the win, assuming, again, all 24 are paid entries. But not a bad day. 125 bucks for you, roughly anywhere, again, 100 to 125. So good job on that. Brett, any questions for our race winner here before we sign off?
Thank you.
Yeah, you mentioned how everything usually washes up to the high side here, especially with the high bankings here at Daytona. You know, coming down to the caution, or not to the caution, to the line there at the checkered, you know, we saw you hanging down to that inside lane there pretty significantly. That's where you were making most of your progress there, it looked like, throughout the course of the race. Did you happen to notice any significance and strength to the bottom line or to the top side groove? As you know, most of that last 20 to 30 laps there was ran, you know, mostly side by side in tandem.
I don't notice too much of a difference. I mostly just like the inside lane because it just feels a little bit safer to me, because I feel like you're a sitting duck when you're on the outside. Just from my experience, it's just the safest place to be, because it washes up and you can get out of the wreck really quickly, and then you can, yeah, basically that's what it is. People are definitely making it really well on the outside lane there, but I just like the inside.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's your race winner. That's the number 54 of Curtis Critchley. If you got any sponsors you want to thank down there on that number 54 machine, now's the time to do it, man. The mic's all yours.
Yes, sir. B-Leaf. Man, Steven, we won it, and that was awesome. I also like to thank my family and also Phantom GFX. That's Phantom GFX on Facebook. 7 Seas Cruises for all your cruising needs. Pavement marking, as I was marking that WO line there. A straight cash money lead for Taylor Peacock. He was an awesome friend of mine. And Butt Kicker. That's all for today. Thank you.
All right, again, congrats to all three taking home a little bit of pay here. Again, at the end of the day, it was a great race here for everybody involved, and a heck of a race to cover here for the kickoff race for the PMI Truck Series of Pavement Marking 100. Brett, any final words before we sign off and we get ready for another race here to start the playoffs for the Northwest Truck Series?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be pretty interesting as we go into next week, just to see the level of talent that we have here, on such a smaller track where it's not such draft dependent. Like I pointed out throughout the course of that 100-lap race, there was a lot of guys in here that hold a lot of talent on the racetrack, all the way from the front of this field to the back. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see, who really comes out and establishes the overall dominance. As you heard Garrett Maines point out, he's, pro-level driver, probably the class of the field tonight as far as coming in, with a wrecked car and still being able to come with a podium. You also have guys like the 04 Matthew Lee, who pretty much dominated the beginning part of this race. So you got a lot of talent in this league. It's, definitely shout out to the guys that put this on. It's gonna just, I think it's gonna be a barn burner next week to see who comes out on the top spot.
Definitely going to be a barn burner for sure. We'll move on to that race here next week. But coming up, of course, the Northwest Truck Series playoffs. Again, we'll talk about more of that here in just a little under an hour. Of course, on behalf of myself, Brent Rolls, Billy Smith, the guys over at Swag, PMI, and all the sponsors involved in making this happen. We thank you for tuning in here tonight, and we will see you again in just under an hour for the Northwest Truck Series playoffs starting very soon.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSR TV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of 52 Media LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. LSR TV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.